Hello, welcome to another episode of the Weed and Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, the Rebel Professor Ryan Barton Lash, the eccentric enigma. And my co-host, Lanaya, is not here with me currently. She is out sick. So I'm just going to be doing somewhat of a quick rundown of a lot of the matches and stuff for this Smackdown. I'm reviewing Smackdown from March 14th in Barcelona, Spain. And I'm just going to be doing quick enough rundowns of all the matches here. I'm going to be doing this for the next two episodes as well. So, going to try to get through them quick enough here. Like, subscribe, share, does everything you can to help us out here. So, yeah, Friday Night Smackdown, March 14th of 2025, Barcelona, Spain. It's the first time Smackdown is in Barcelona. It's the second largest city in Spain and the ninth most visited city in the world. And it was the host of the 1992 Olympics. Fun stuff. But we start out with LA Knight going out and cutting a promo. Got the whole crowd chanting LA Knight. Ole chant starts, and he waits for the crowd. He even says, "Tough crowd, you're way too quiet." And goes on about, "I'm the United States champ, but my God, I'm worldwide." And then a "You deserve it" chant starts, and then Jimmy Uso enters the chat, and Jimmy comes in talking about how he's desperate and he's run into speed bumps along the way, but that he needs to challenge him and take the title from him, for his WrestleMania. And then the New Bloodline enters the chat. Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa, and Tama Tonga. Solo starts out talking about how Jacob needs the U.S. title shot. He does a great little fake out to where he gets ready to point to himself, and then he points over to Jacob. Then he stumbled a little bit, and Jimmy going, "Woo!" That was fun. and then he goes on about how the family's failed, and Jimmy says, "Whose biggest failure was trusting you and you losing to the OTC." That was started a bunch of OTC chants. And then Sneak Attack came in with a hanging DDT from Tama Tonga. And then Braun Strowman enters the chat. And he runs down and starts tearing up stuff. And then Nick Aldis enters the chat, and he says, "We're going to have a 6-man tag team match right now." So I gave that promo just a 10. Just because I love LA Knight, and it was a great way to start the show. Really, really fun. So we got LA Knight, Jimmy Uso, Braun Strowman versus Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu, and Solo Sikoa. Jimmy and Solo are the ones that starts out. We got pop up to chops and corner countdown punches, spinning slam reversals. And then "fuck you" Solo chants begin to start, which that's great. And Jacob gets tagged in, beats a little bit, then Tama Tonga does a fly-in senton and does it. Love those things. And from there, Solo gets tagged in, does one of his running ass attacks. Jacob gets tagged in. And then Jimmy finally gets into hot tag LA Knight, and then he does a dual punch out, where he's punching out both Solo and Tama Tonga. And then then he gets into a jumping neck breaker, then follows up with a DDT. And then super kick, and then Jimmy comes in and he gets a super kick Fatu into crash out pad. And then LA Knight gets tagged back in and then does his new pop-up elbow drop on Fatu. That's a new thing he's been doing, this pop-up elbow drop. which I like. It looks nice. From there, we got Fatu comes in and he crashes on the back of the turnbuckle, and then Tamatonga tags in. Then there's a fast beatdown on Solo. There's fast beatdown, and then Solo gets tagged in and gets in. LA Knight's comeback gets reversed. Tamatonga gets tagged in, dragged in by Jacob Fatu, tag in. And yeah, it just keeps on going from there. LA Knight gets a hot tag to Braun Strowman, who clears out the ring, gets in for Strowman Express. And LA Knight drop kicks, diving, and then Jimmy Uso suicide dives. Does his drop kick dive to the one, and then Jimmy Uso does his suicide dive, and then a running power slam finishes it. Then there's a big beatdown by Jacob Fatu at the end, who does 3 mighty moonsaults and then runs back to the announcer area afterwards. I gave that match an overall 7. I thought it was really, really good match. I thought everybody's strengths were played up really well. Then you get the little Triple H Hall of Fame announcements. Then you get the pointless Bianca Belair drama playback. It's just so pointless. It's such a stupid storyline. I think they should really just focus on, her match coming up, which is going to be a triple threat with Io and Rhea, but they're still holding on that. But that leads into Jade's promo, to where she ends up getting into it with Liv Morgan and talking about how she's going to face her next week. Next match that we got coming up, we got B-Fab versus Charlotte Flair. This is a pretty good match. The B-Fab, she does a nice little promo coming in, does a little Spanish part about Charlotte Flair. I made note that B-Fab just looks great. She's sexy as fuck. Just overall great. Charlotte comes out. She's looking epic as fuck. And it was just a good classical start to the match there. A lot of good trades. Charlotte headlocks. Crowd flips. The crowd flips off to B-Fab. Then there's a crossbody kick out. We got some head scissor face slams that Charlotte was doing there, where she had her knees up around her face and was just slamming her into there. That was pretty neat. And B-Fab does a good comeback. Then there's a weak big kick from B-Fab to Charlotte pin down kick out, and then Charlotte comes back, does the figure 8 to finish, and then Tiffany Stratton comes out. I gave the match a 6.5, but after the match, Tiffany comes out. It's Tiffy time. They get into a big beatdown brawl around the ring. Then we go to Drew McIntyre's promo, where he's finally cutting on, Damian Priest, and finally talking about him, because Drew had a lot of focus on CM Punk being the wrong one, but it's like, dude, Damian's the one that kind of did all this stuff to you, finally. Finally, you're talking about it. That had gone on while they were setting up for Miz TV. Miz TV gets interrupted by Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton still fighting. And then that builds up to a giant swanton from Tiffany Stratton from the top. It was just glorious looking. Miz does a little Spanish introduction, and then says his next guest should have taken the deal with The Rock, and if he feels that he got beat down there, well, he won't be able to beat John Cena at WrestleMania. Cody comes out, the whole crowd singing and song. He's loving them. He's over like crazy. And then Miz cuts the music, talks about how he's getting interrupted and stuff, and how he's not going to get interrupted anymore for that. And then Cody comes in and just beats him down, gives him a crossroad. And Cody talks about how he doesn't want to talk to anybody but John Cena. And that was a really good little segment, just because it filled so many different things. You got the Tiffany and the Charlotte still going on. You got Miz kind of following up to what he had told him about taking the deal. So, all in all, and Cody just, he was just so over. He's so over. So I gave that little segment an 8 there, because I feel like it put some balls on Cody. Next match we get is Damian Priest versus Shinsuke Nakamura. It starts out with a whole promo of Shinsuke wanting to, get another match against LA Knight. And Nick Aldis calls him out for missing the ref. And then Damian shows up. He says a little something in Spanish, and Shinsuke says a little something in Japanese, and Nick says, I don't understand what language you see, but he sees a match. So that's the preemptive of it. And then there's that mystery mask wrestler little vignette there that happens in between there, which I'm pretty sure it's Penta's brother, because he just got signed with WWE. But Shinsuke comes out. Shinsuke's entrance has everybody in the crowd singing his old entrance, the whoa, 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 whoa. Everybody was singing that, but I still think his new entrance looks great. The new tune that he's got to it, just the whole Fallen Samurai kind of deal is just really working for me with Shinsuke. And Damian then comes out, and they have a kind of classical standoff, with there's starts with a handspring twist reversal that Shinsuke does. And then that goes to corner kicks, and then he gets reversed into a beatdown in the corner from Damian. From there, the action ends up going to the outside. You got a splash pop-up face slam into a clothesline outside of the ring. The action comes back from the outside. Nakamura gives a big knee to Damian in the corner rope. And then he beats him down more with his knees and tries to cover him. Damian does a bit of a comeback, cuts to commercial. When we come back, Nakamura does that sliding German suplex that he does, which I just love that sliding German suplex. It's so cool looking. Then... Sorry, I lost track. And he gets a chin grab on Damian, and Damian comes back and does like this reverse fallout choke slam kind of deal, where he picks him up and falls back with him, which was pretty cool looking. Then Damian strikes and kicks and does his martial arts stuff in the corner, follows it up with a broken arrow. Then you get an old school with a crossbody. I love how he's adapted the old school and has just been doing different things with it that Taker never did, which is great. And then there's an armbar to strike Lariat off, where they're just hitting each other. And then Drew McIntyre has entered, and he's standing outside there distracting. He distracts the distraction goes off to south of heaven, and then Drew gets in and just beats the crap out of him and thumbs him to the eyes. And then Nakamura delivers a Kinshasa and leaves after giving a little look of like, yeah, we both hate him, don't we? You know? Yeah, Drew just proceeds to beat down Priest, slams him into the barrier twice. He finishes beating him with the steps, and then poor Drew McIntyre chance starts, and Drew delivers a Claymore and a brutal stomp on him to finish it up. I thought it was a really good match. I gave it a 7. Just did what it needed to do to help progress that storyline. Then we got DIY Motor City Machine Guns promo. I gave it a 3. There's just too much going on with too many uncharismatic tag teams right now. But yeah, then what? Chelsea Green and Selena Vega have a little promo set up to have her face Piper Niven next week. And then we get Randy Orton versus Carmelo Hayes. Got the crowd singing Randy's song. And then Randy shakes this little girl's hand down by ringside. And it's great because when Carmelo comes out, he just stares at the little girl like she's nothing. But yeah, they start out with like this hand dap to fake out kind of thing where he's like, yeah, man, go ahead, give me daps. Which is great. Because, yeah, it gets into a push-off and Randy just punches him out and then gets him down to the table and just keeps on body slamming him to there. Randy apologizes to the announcers for slamming him on the table, which is pretty funny. But past that, Carmelo does a great middle rope dive on Randy. Then elbows and necks the shit out of him. We get a headlock suplex reversal to reversal knee strikes. Get another headlock trade off with Randy coming back with clotheslines to a snap slam. Vintage Orton is countered by springboard slam, snap reversal. Then we get take 2 of the Vintage Orton. He lands it. Carmelo Hayes, he bails out on the RKO. And then next snaps Orton. And he misses nothing and lands the next springboard DDT. There's a little corner punch off to a superplex. Then RKO's pushed off. He tries for the first 48, and then Randy sneaks in an RKO. And, yeah, then here's a little handshake push off to an RKO. And, yeah, then Kevin Owens shows up and, as usual, just ruins everything. And Randy chases him up and Kevin runs. But I give the match a 7. I thought it was a really good match between those two. Then we got Jacob Fatu cutting a promo about what he needs to do. I just gave that promo a 7 because get on me. Then we get that number 4 vignette again. That's supposed to be Malachi Black, who's coming back. He just got signed from AEW. And then we get Gunther versus Axiom, which is a pretty great match here. Gunther says the road to WrestleMania starts in Barcelona. And Gunther kind of makes fun of the crowd for liking Jey Uso. And yeah, Gunther calls out Axiom for being Spain's favorite wrestler and how he's the first native Spaniard signed to WWE. And yeah, they start out with a good grapple trade-off to corner kicks, Axiom reversals off of 2 chops. Axiom does another reversal to hanging armbar. Finally, Gunther is able to get a chop in. And he comes back, with chops to foot push. And then does kind of a corner crossback reversal. And he slows down a little bit. And then he tries to take off his mask. And then Axiom does a top rope dinosaur dropkick. Then we got a powerbomb reversal into a suplex pin attempt. Into a powerbomb again, but he kicks out of that one. Then there's a failed Spanish fly that ends up turning a Hurricane Rana after Gunther attempts to powerbomb him from the top rope. And then huge face kick from Gunther. And then Gunther goes with a double powerbomb to finish him off. And then while Axiom's down, Gunther gives him sleeper. I gave the match a 6.5. It was a pretty good match. Just Axiom's really good. Can't wait to see him called up to the main roster. Get some more luchas on there. Next, we got Paul Heyman's promo. He does a promo saying that today is Roman Reigns Day because of the debut of the 2K25 game. And tells people to wait until after Smackdown to play so they can keep the ratings high because they like the ratings high during Paul's segments. Paul goes on about how he hates Seth freaking Rollins songs and how Roman's going to be coming back at Bologna, Italy, and how the crowd shouldn't have to worry if they want to go off and fly. It's not like Mussolini's at the borders anymore. They can fly right over. Give that promo a 7. Gunther tries to talk to Jimmy Uso about Jay. Jimmy tells him, what's going on, that he's going to lose and stuff. I didn't rate that anything. It was quite quick. Then we get Street Profits versus DIY for the tag team titles as our main event. Legado del Fantasma provokes the Street Profits kind of on the way in. Montez laughs him off. And they just got so much noise. They are super over. And Angelo Dawkins calls out that they're gonna, get the victory, and then then they start off with a shove out into the corner. Montez tags in with an assisted move off kick out, moonsault kick out. Dawkins tags back in. It's a beatdown on Johnny Gargano, and then tags in for a pop-up slam. Montez tags in again, beats down on Johnny. Tommaso tags in to the outside of the ring and brings a running knee to kick back, isolating Montez there. We got a reversal hot tag to Dawkins, and then it was a spin around in the corner to kick out. His little spin around crash slam that he does. And then we got a pop-up backdrop. And then Montez tagged in. We get a failed 450 attempt and gets knee guts, but then it's assisted knee gut to a kick out right after that. There's a round of exchanges, and Ford does a senton to Doomsday Neckbreaker, and then there's a kick out, and then they try to do the fairy tale ending with a super kick. There's another kick out from there, but then the meet in the middle doesn't land, and then there's a dive out from there, and then Montez gets a frog splash after he tags in, and they win the tag team titles. So I gave that match a 7. I thought it was a pretty all around good match. Glad that the Street Profits are able to get tag team titles again. Simply off of the fact that it's been 4 years. They've been one of the premier tag teams for a long time, and for it to be this long before they've held titles again is, needless to say, much needed. But all in all, I thought that March 14th Smackdown there was a really good show. Barcelona was a great crowd. I think we had a lot of really great matches, a lot of really good setup for more things to come. But that'll wrap it up for this episode of the Weed and Wrestling Podcast. Again, I'm your host, the Rebel Professor, Ryan Barton-Lash, the Eccentric Enigma. Lanaya will be joining us probably tomorrow on the other ones, but I still got 2 more episodes I need to bust out here soon enough, so I will catch you here soon. Like, share, and subscribe to us at Weed and Wrestling. It helps us out a lot. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.